I have been in the radio business for 31 years. And up until the last 7 or 8 years, I've run general market radio stations, from country to soft rock to hip hop to news talk to alternative rock. And 8 years ago, I bought a station in Hartford, a big station, 50,000 watts, and I was able to get another smaller station and move it into Hartford. As I drove around, I didn't look at any of the data, but I could tell that there was a hunger for a Latino station. And the more I delved into it, the better it sounded. And my staff and I were a little afraid because we didn't speak Spanish. And we didn't know exactly, all of the programming elements and music, but we gave it a shot. And the love we got from the Hispanic community in Hartford was overwhelming. And then one day, I decided to look at some of the data, and it was overwhelming as well. In Hartford, it's almost 45% Hispanic. And the thing that I found out with the advertisers was simply that when they came on the station, they were getting immediate results. The market was hungry for an FM station, and not only were they coming in as customers to the business, but they were becoming, if they had a good experience, they were becoming raving fans. And they would introduce the products and services, no matter what the business was, to their family and friends, their neighbors and coworkers, and it was great. And I could tell that it was a good business model, and it all worked out. Last year, Latina 100.3 became available for sale, and I purchased it because I knew that it was a thriving market. And it's not just a niche market, it's a big market. It's one of the only growing demographic groups in New England. So here's some of the information that I found. This is the growth from 2000 to 2010 by county. And even like Washington County, it's not just a Providence thing. It's moved out like every other immigrant that came to Rhode Island, and they're in the suburbs. Washington County over the last 10 years grew by 70%. Providence 41%, Kent County 87%. And if you click, U.S. Census and do a Google search, you can go town by town and see, where the town that maybe you're doing business in ranks. So it became very exciting. This is by city, and this is 2010 census information. The city of Providence is at 38%. But here's the thing. I never participated in the census. And although it's a number, I think it's higher than that. And if you take a look at the 2010 projections, it's 44%. Pawtucket, New Bedford, Cranston, Fall River. Overall, Rhode Island's about 14% Hispanic. So this is a lot of people and a great opportunity. And it's probably one of the biggest opportunities you have today for your business. And here's the fatal mistakes that a lot of businesses make. They just don't believe the census numbers. And then they may try Hispanic marketing, and they try it for a month or two, and it's not a fair shot. You gotta, have a program, a strategy to take and promote your business to the Hispanic market. And there's all kinds of festivals. At Latina, we run a Latin Expo every April. The opportunities are vast. So when you look at all of it, who are the Hispanics that are in Rhode Island? Mostly Puerto Ricans. Dominicans are number 2. Mexicans, number 3. Cubans, there's Colombians. So there's a diverse group. And then when it comes to your advertising message, there are many different dialects. The Mexican dialect on some words are completely different than the Puerto Rican dialect. And at the radio station, a lot of times we're writing commercials, and my staff will write a commercial, and there's a word that can mean a couple of different things, whether you're Colombian or Puerto Rican or Mexican, and they'll change the sentence around so that it's clear to understand for all Hispanics. You know, the mayor did a great job in himself. The buying power is enormous. You know, Hispanics spent $1 trillion in retail in 2010. At 2015, it's $1.5 trillion. So it really just keeps growing and growing and is going to continue to grow. And that's why it's important that you have some sort of strategy to capture the Hispanics. They're great customers, they're loyal, and there's more and more of them, and also their buying power. You know, they don't want just a car. They want a Mercedes. This is an article that's in your packet that it's staggering. Latinos in the future, they're outpacing the entire market. Over the next 20 years, they're going to be the biggest driving force in the automotive market. And the reason why I included this in your packets today is because nobody does more research about consumer habits than the auto industry. They spend thousands and thousands of dollars. They want to be ahead of the trends. They want to know what kind of things are important to you. Whether it's an eco-friendly car or just a cup holder. They spend more money than anybody. And over the next 20 years, they believe that the Hispanics are going to be their major growth. We have 3 speakers today that are going to give you firsthand accounts of how they've been marketing to the Hispanic business. And we're also going to be taking questions after that. But you know, it's time to think about Hispanic advertising for your business. You know, wherever you go, whether you go to Home Depot, how many years has it been that they've had bilingual signs? I remember it was like 25 years ago, I walked into a Home Depot and I see Hispanic and English signs. And even if you do nothing, you know, sometimes we work with businesses and they say, well, I don't have a large Hispanic staff of sellers, what can we do? And I say, put up signs, bilingual signs. It's going to resonate with the Hispanic customers. But Home Depot has done their research. I ended up buying a little, this is a universal smartphone garage door opener. And I look at the manual, it's completely in English and Spanish, and there's a couple of other languages. They're doing it because it's just good business. Why miss out on these exploding demographic groups? There's also not that many Hispanic options to advertise. Radio is a real big part of the Hispanic population. They feel a part of a radio station. It's their music, it's their station, it's their DJs. So radio really does, and in countries like the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, radio is big. Every community has their station, and the time spent with each listener is higher with Hispanics than the general market. So they spend more time listening to radio than a lot of other mediums. All right, we're going to break for lunch, and then we're going to come back with our speakers. Then we're going to answer all your questions. Then we've got a ton of prizes to give away because you guys are good. So give yourself a round of applause.